remember the time when my mind lost everything, hopeless, friendless, whatever. Don't cry, you're okay. They told me it would get better. Everything happens for a reason, but I agreed to disagree then. Maybe I'll exist in another world, leave it all behind. Broken, bruised, but fine. Maybe I'll exist in another world, neither here nor there. Alone is worse than scared, but I'm okay. I'll be okay. It's lonely in this wasteland of my own doing. Time doesn't heal everything, so I guess there's only one thing I can do, and that's to send you further away. You can make it on your own. You can pave your own way. As long as you're not in my world, you can't hurt me no longer. That's what I tell myself. That you're the only problem. You're the only problem. Maybe I'll exist in another world, another place. I'll push you away. Don't worry, I'm okay. Maybe I'll exist in another world, another space. Neither here nor there, but I guess you'll have to come back one day. I remember the time when my mind lost everything, but this tension I'm creating is now the thing I'm hating. They told me it would get better, that alone can't last forever. I'm searching for a reason to end this painful season. So we have to try, share, connect with an open heart, listen with an open mind, bring together the fire apart. Just reach out and you will find. Maybe we'll exist in another world, create what we want to see, apologize with sincerity. Maybe we'll create a better world, better life. Together we will rise. This world is ours, so let your colors shine. Let our colors shine. Let our colors shine.
We are week to 6. This is episode 26. I'm Joseph Mojo McCarthy, and I'm here with our host Dan, who composed that amazing song. And our guest today is Ani, and I can't wait to meet her to find out what she's all about. So today we're going to get together. We're going to do something cool. We're going to do it right now. Let's do it right now.
Yeah, wow, that was exciting, Mojo. Amazing. And apologies because what some of our listeners and viewers heard at first was just silence because I forgot to unmute us. So, but the energy spoke through the screen. So, hey, Mojo, why don't you introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce myself, and then we'll pass it over to our guest, Ani.
All right, I'm Joseph Mojo McCarthy. I go by Mojo on most channels. I'm a polymath, creative communicator, musician. I do graphic design. I just love to communicate through pictures and music and words, because I believe that we are created by a creator to create. So that's of why we were made, how we were. And that's also the way that we connect with each other, not just at a head level, but at a heart level. And that is the most important part. I believe that connections and contributions create collaboration. That's what we're doing right here, right now. Over to you, Dan.
Yeah, and we're making a work of art, right, with this conversation.
Right.
And this show is brought to you by the letter C, not just for cookie anymore, folks. It is for all the things that Mojo just mentioned. So my name is Dan Roeder. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for the David Z Foundation, where we transform lives through the magic of music. I'm also a composer, PEAR-former, and edu-creator. And just a bit about the song that was at the beginning. That was written by Sequoia Klugertz and myself, and we worked with the Surprise Valley Modoc Harvest and Surprise Valley Education Foundation in Surprise Valley, California, the smallest rural area in California, I believe. And that was about restorative justice. And Sequoia is just an absolutely magnificent human. I think she's 17, and 17 going on 45, as far as like the maturity of her understanding and the richness of the music. So yeah, that's I posted that in our Jumbotron on Chatmosa, which you can join way over there if you go to chatmosa.com and look for the giant pear, or you can click on the QR code. There's a whole force pressing thing you do on iPhone if you want, but that's where we'll put all the resources for today, especially the ones that Ani gives us about her story and her brand. So Ani, over to you.
Yeah, Ani.
Well, you guys have so much energy. I'm still waking up. So it's like,
oh, we can't help it.
Oh man, it's so cool. Yeah, super excited to be here. I don't know, what kind of nuggets am I going to give you guys today? I am Ani. I am a social media manager. I work as a social media manager, help people build their brands, help people learn how to grow on social media, work on personal branding, or anything else. I'm a very big nerd, I would say. I'm like super adept with any kind of technology. Learning AI. I love to teach myself anything that's new in tech and things like that. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. What else can I say? Thanks, Mojo.
Ani. Welcome.
I can't believe you bring so much energy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, one thing I told you we'd highlight this in the show, and I'm just going to do it sooner than later. One thing I've noticed about you as a creator, Ani, is that you're just incredibly thoughtful and connective. When you say that you want to help shine light on other creators, you actually do that when people are looking and when they're not looking. And so I think that there's a richness to that and a depth of character that is pretty rare, to see in a social media platform that is rooted in algorithms. And especially since a lot of what you've been posting about, your content is about algorithm. But it comes from this place of not just how to like manipulate or utilize or whatever verb like that but it's more how to find your best self within that context and that ecosystem. So I just want to say, I appreciate you.
I want to point out too. So Ani, just based on what Dan just said about you, and I'm meeting you for the first time, and I'm so excited to get to know you. But my mentor often quotes, I think it's John Maxwell, who says, if you might have been somebody else, but if you spend your days helping other people achieve your dreams, you'll achieve yours as well. You won't even have to worry about achieving your dreams. By helping others achieve your dreams, it will automatically happen. And Napoleon Hill is kind of an example of that, a classic example as well. But so I can't wait to hear all about you.
Awesome. Yeah, I truly believe in karma, and I always try to live a very humble life. And I've always wanted to help people, even when I was doing something else. Like I was in e-commerce for a while, and as like a team leader, I've always tried to just stick out for the team and stuff like that. And yeah, like I try to do that here too. Like anybody who's part of my community or anybody who is nice to me, I'm always going to try to make sure that I'm nice to them. I support them in any way that I can. And yeah, I've just always been this way.
The picture that comes to mind as you describe that, Ani, is when we were little, we played this game called Red Rover, which now has been pretty much banned by most schools because
people get closelined.
Pretty rough. Yeah. With Red Rover, you have two teams, and they stand in each other across a field or across a span, and they all hold hands side by side. And then one team yells to the other team, Red Rover, send, and they pick one person in the other team right over. And that person's job is to run as fast as they can and try to break through the hands where you're holding hands with the person next to you. So there's a lot of strategy to this. Well, a little strategy, right? So when you send somebody over, you pick the smallest person on the other team because you figure they're not going to break through. But then when you're the person that gets picked and you're running through the other one, you try to find the weakest link where you figure these two people can't hold hands. I'm going to break through. Because if you break through, you get to pull somebody from their team over to yours. But if they catch you, then you're on their team. So this is a crazy game. It's hilarious, and it's kind of brutal sometimes. But I love what you said, because in a sense, we're playing Red Rover in life. But if we think that because the person next to us isn't as strong as we are in whatever area, and we're not willing to share our strength with them, well, that becomes a weak spot on our team, our human team, the human race, or I like to say the human grace. And so strengthening those bonds and sharing my strength where others are weak, I know that there's going to be time where that'll be reversed, right? And I'll be on the weak end of whatever spectrum that is, and they're going to carry me, but it keeps us strong together.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to see if I captured that. This is Red Rover allegory is what I'm calling it. We're playing it in life. Sometimes we highlight our weak spots by not believing in the others around us. Is that? I just want to make sure I'm catching that, because you just blew my mind, and I don't even know why.
Come on. Well, here's what this is called, a mind baby, Ani. This is the thing that we're doing here on in the Now Show a lot. What a mind baby is, I bring a thought, you bring a thought, and together the thoughts commingle, and something new bubbles up that neither one of us had really thought of in that way. And it's only a result of the conversation. Your words and my words, or your thoughts and my thoughts, start to commingle, and they create something new, a mind baby. And so Dan took the words I just said about Red Rover, which is kind of a very metaphorical, application to a kid's game, and he put it in his own words. And as a result, Dan put a spin on Red Rover that I wouldn't have ever put, and actually enhanced my understanding of Red Rover. So read your thing again, Dan.
I'm delighted that I said something smart.
Not just smart, it's wise.
I'm the most smartest. Yeah. We're playing it in life. Sometimes we highlight our weak spots by not believing in the others around us.
Yes. And then I love the word we in particular. Of all those great words, we is the most important part, because you can't play Red Rover by yourself. It's just not fun. It's not fun, and there's no chain. There's no chain to break through. But if I play with others and I'm like, okay, I'm the strongest guy, but I'm just going to let all the other weak spots get broken through, I lose, right? So it's important to all of us, whatever our weaks, and we all have weeks. We all have weeks. We all have weaknesses. We all have strengths. It's just all on different avenues, different facets, right? And so it's learning to share our strengths and to cover for others' weaknesses that makes us all strong.
Yeah. Agreed. And also, I really love what you said there, because we can all learn from each other, right? We can always celebrate other people's wins, and that's how you grow too at the same time, instead of just like saying like, well, okay, well, this person is like this and that, they're like this good, they're doing it this way, and then you just get jealous. It doesn't really help you or do anything for you, like instead just learn from what they did and how they got to their point of success, and then replicate it if you really wanted to,
Exactly. Yeah. You highlighted two really important things to me, Ani. One is, when you win, we win, right? There's just not this. It's not in our society as it was in our history, human history. If you win, we win. That was always the idea, because we were a clan, we were a family, we were a tribe. Now we've been broken up into little individual units, and there's this sense, it's called a zero-sum game. The zero-sum game means there's only a finite amount of winning, and if you take some, that means I get less, and if I take some, you get less. But that's not
and you can't win. You can't win alone. Like, you always need somebody behind you. You always need somebody to support you. You always want to celebrate with someone when you get to that win, right? So you really shouldn't want to be alone ever.
Well, and you always also need somebody that is better than you. You need a model, and that's what bubbled to my mind too from this mind baby. Is it's Vygotsky, this Ed Psych dude, and he has this philosophy of point of proximal development. So it's looking at the people around you And there has to be like the zone, a ZPD, zone of proximal development, meaning that, you know, you're looking towards the masters. You're looking towards people that have more experience or wisdom or resources or whatever it is. You're looking for people that understand how to do something more than you understand it. And so you always have those models that are kind of better. And that's why it's great to have this quest for continual self-improvement. But I think it's also great to celebrate those wins along the way, because we can't always say like, well, I'm good, but I'm not that good, you know, if we dwell on that. So I think there's this tension in healthy growth between finding the people that are better than you or more experienced at you or further along in the journey than you, whatever that looks like. And then also looking at the people that you can model for and that you can help up and that you can support and celebrate.
So, Ani, I'd love to hear an example. If you have a story of a time when you're doing what you're doing, when you found somebody and you knew how to help them get to their dreams, you could help share the clues on how to do that, collaborate with them, and as a result, it helped you win as well. Because these things, these bumper sticker slogans, when you win, we win, it's true, but a lot of people like dismiss it because it's just like some words, but there's not a story attached to it, not a picture in their mind. So does that something come to mind, Ani, for you in your actual experience where you helped someone else win or they helped you win, and as a result, it was a team win, not just an individual win?
I mean, it happens all the time on X, honestly. If I see, let's say, a creator like Karada have a viral post, right? And then it turns out to be, so let's say like I leave a comment on there, right? I'm also gaining impressions off of that, right? So it's like, I don't know, I think people fail to see some of those little things that they can do in order to win with someone, right? And obviously, like Karada is not going to say, "Hey, don't comment on my stuff" or whatever else, right? But it's like people don't see it that way. Like you are winning with that other person, right? So yeah, I see it all the time. And even with me, like I always tell people, like, well, look, if I have something that has high impressions and you want to utilize my post, go for it. Or you want to like steal my content, something performed really good for me, you want to take it and you want to post it yourself, go for it. Like I really do not care, because like if you win and I see something working for you, I feel like, well, I contributed to that, right? Even if I don't get, I really do not care if I don't get credit for it either, but I love seeing it.
Yeah, I guess
that's just
go ahead.
Beautiful mental attitude. Go ahead, Dan. You go first.
Sorry.
I'm going to interrupt and be like, everybody shut up.
Yeah.
Your turn.
I love it. All right, Ani, take over, take charge. So I guess on the flip side of Mojo's previous question, is there anybody that kind of was in that role for you that you kind of looked to for guidance and, you know, as you started on your creator journey?
For sure. I have to say it was Alex. I only had a couple hundred followers when I first started following him, and he started posting about the algorithm. He started posting about how to grow your social media. And I was actually coming out of my e-commerce job at the time, and I didn't know what to do. I was kind of like in between jobs, and I needed to find something to do. And I've always been a people person. I always love talking to people, love talking to, like, you know, building communities and, you know, just being friendly with people. So like social media started becoming something that I was just involved in all the time. Like I was living on social media. I was like on X, or I was on Instagram or TikTok or whatever it may be. And then Alex kind of started to show that you can build a living here. You can build a brand, you can build a community around you, and you can monetize that, right? So Alex has always been that mentor for me, and being able to actually kind of directly learn from him, work with him, do what he does, like see what he does and learn directly from him has been an incredible thing for my life. And I would honestly call it life-changing, because I would never have considered social media to be a full-time job or anything that I could do for myself, right? So I became like a solopreneur, and I kind of started building my brand to, you know, like just also be able to make an impact on the world, right? So like you can be on X and you could literally talk to somebody like Elon Musk. Like where else can you do that? You know, you can't be at your regular 9-to-5 job and expect to one day like be talking to Elon or commenting on it or getting like getting his attention, right? So things like that. It's just something that I really, really appreciate. And Alex definitely has been that for me. There's also been other people. Obviously, it's not just Alex that I learn from. I try to learn from anybody who is successful, who's doing it right, and things like that, right? Brock has been there. I learned a lot from all of my peers as well, like Christelle. Who else can I name? Like Karada, KSJ, some of the larger creators or some of the more popular creators that you see every day. So like everybody makes a good impact in my life. I try to learn from everyone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I just want to capitalize on what you're saying here because this is so important. I think for anybody who's tuned in, and one there's a lot of great stuff here, but one is, as you stated earlier, you don't succeed alone, or as Arnold Schwarzenegger said, there's no such thing as a self-made man. Quite physically, that's true. You can't bring yourself into the world without at least two other people, and you don't have anything to do with that actually anyway. Not to mention, as humans, as a mammal, we can't even survive for the first several years of our life without a whole bunch of people taking care of us. It takes a village. It really does, in order for a human to even survive physically. But then you talked about there are people who are ahead of you in the journey, who know something you don't know, and if they are generous with their knowledge, or as Tony Robbins likes to say often, success leaves clues. So maybe you
Ooh.
don't even have direct access to it. Maybe you don't have direct access to Elon Musk. Now in X we actually do sometimes, but even then when you don't, we have access to the successful run. Now it's a really interesting dynamic here because even Tony Robbins says, he says, if I gave you the exact steps that took me from being 17 years old with less than $20 in my pocket and no prospect of making money to the multi-billionaire I am that I am, if I give you all the steps, you couldn't follow my steps because you're not me, right? And it's really interesting. So Tony Robbins says success leaves clues, but the clues are they're not actual they're not actually your roadmap. You have to create your own roadmap, but you can learn from those around you, mentors, guides, coaches, successful people, some who are personally involved in your life like Ani is doing, and some who are leaving clues along the trail so you can say, oh, place to go. There's a little sign, for instance, that says landmine, don't step here. Well, I can believe the sign, or I can step on the landmine and learn the hard way, like the person apparently ahead of me. Right?
Right.
Success leaves clues. But the other thing about that story that Tony doesn't talk about a lot that I think is important is that once I've picked up the clues along the way from those who are personally involved in my life and those who have gone on ahead of me, perhaps they left it in a book or they left it in a video or they left it through the people that they influenced and then it's trickled down to me. Now it's my job not just to learn how to succeed, but to leave my clues for the people behind me, because there's this endless chain, this beautiful endless chain of humanity. Some are ahead of us and some are behind us. That means I'm somewhere in the middle. So my job is to receive the clues, learn from them, and make sure I leave my Easter eggs, my clues, my signs for the people behind me, so that I am both the student and the teacher in every now moment. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Ani.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. But I also wanted to add, like most people, I would say, like, yeah, most people look at somebody who's already super successful, right? Let's say, like, we look at Elon Musk, we look at Zuckerberg, we look at somebody who's already made it. Let's say, like, I don't know why Donald Trump came to mind, but I'm just saying. But we forget that our peers are also doing the same thing. Like, we can't. I believe in small wins a lot. Like, I like to learn little things, not just like always aspire for that crazy big thing that I could be, right? I think it's very important to learn from your peers as well, because they do have certain small wins. Like if I were to mention, like, I'm only talking about this in like more content creation, like comments or impressions type of sense, because I'm more into like the X part of things, right? So let's say like, how do I explain it? Okay, so let's say like Alex gets a reply from Elon Musk, right? And we're celebrating it, right? But there's that little thing where like you can learn from what Alex just did and what got him that reply or what got him that like, right? And it doesn't have to be Alex. It could be somebody who has, let's say, like somebody who doesn't really have a good following. I've seen plenty of small accounts get like attention from Elon or a quote post from Elon, right? That's something that you're aspiring to do, right? But you don't look at that little person that kind of just got that quote post, you should look at it. You should be like, well, what did they do to get this attention, or what did they do to make it, right? So you need to also like always be looking at your peers or somebody who's like not necessarily bigger than you, essentially, right? Always like try to just keep your mind open on to learning from others, because everybody leaves nuggets of wisdom or things that you can learn from.
Yeah. Well, I actually wanted to just take a moment right now and kind of riff on that quote that success leaves crumbs or clues. You said clues, but yeah, I think crumbs too, breadcrumbs.
Yeah, right. I love it both. Yes.
Yeah. So this just shout out to our sponsor, which is PEAR-coin. And I'm going to be putting their website in our Jumbotron on Chatmosa. But I just wanted to highlight Chatmosa for right now. And folks can come in here anytime between now and then Friday at midnight is where I usually sunset the chat. Unless I forget, then it's Monday morning. And you can see Mojo is just kind of keeping the dialogue going in there. This is something that we're building, and we're using this tool of Chatmosa to connect these conversations across 6 platforms: X, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Microsoft, and Google are all. You can log in through any of those here, and then you can see I have my camera on in Chatmosa as well. Everybody can have their camera on, and then it's a really dynamic chat where you can highlight creators and you can highlight projects. And there's actually a use case that I was thinking of where you could have like 40 people in there all doing like a coding project together, and then just kind of everybody's sharing their screen, and you can scroll through the Jumbotron and be like, all right, Billy, let's see what Susie did over there. Why don't we try some of that? So it's a really great teaching model as well. But one of the things that I just wanted to show folks right now is that I can click on Ani, who's in here, and it pops up this little sub menu, and I can directly visit her X page, which we're going to do right now. And that's why I say, success leaves clues. Ani's pretty successful on here. You've got a whole bunch of why does it say follow back? How was I not following you?
That's probably a good idea.
It's probably a glitch.
Yeah, I know I've been following you. Well,
sure
that was weird. That's funny. Embarrassing. So this is what I want to just check out. This is where you can see, the things that creators have front and center, they're gonna put in their profile. So I can just go on this little tour of rabbit holes through Ani's profile. And she's, this is within 2 clicks, I can set up a meeting with her. I can chat, or I can send her a DM on X. And this is so beautiful. It's so simple, like these 1-page card sites. And then you get to see what she's specializing in: social media growth, marketing leadership, content creation, community building, personal branding, monetization, and digital presence. That's a powerhouse collection of skills, folks. And this, easily you can get a meeting set up with Ani to kind of work on those. Free 99. That's the best price. I'm still reeling over why was it not following you? Anyway, I'll have to let it go.
X does that sometimes.
It has to be. Well, there was once upon a time, I went to bed with 5,900 followers, and I woke up with 0. I'm like, what happened?
No way.
The bots took me down. But then within 2 hours, I refreshed, and then it was fine. So I'm gonna chalk it up to the randomness of social media. However, I digress a lot. Mojo, help me get back. Help me get back.
Well, so here's what I want to highlight, just because a lot of people have tuned in and out of our show for the last 5 weeks and didn't really know what's the bottom line reason why should I start another platform? Why should I sign up for Chatmosa? Because I've already got this is my voice talking. I've already got all these platforms and I barely get to all of them. How can I add another thing to my plate? And what I want to help people understand, because Dan helped me understand just in the last couple of minutes, one of the great advantages of Chatmosa is that we can collaborate and connect, which are my 2 favorite C words, collaborate and connect across platforms all in one place. So rather than I've got my friends and followers on this platform and I can talk to them, and then I got my friends and followers on that platform and I can talk to them, and I find myself copying and pasting my own words in several different platforms just so I can tell all my friends what's going on, right? And now here's a place that's being built as we talk, and we're working out the glitches with them live, saying, hey, we can platforms all of our people from different platforms together, and we can actually collaborate and connect in one place. Well, that sounds great. Let's do that. Yes, I'm excited. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it really is, not to make it a Chatmosa commercial, but I think it's the age we're living in is the age of pairing. When you pair things together,
Pairing.
and that's not a pun. That's a pair pun. That's a total pair pun. But no, like when you pair things together, you're going to highlight the intersectionality between them. And one of the things I like about Chatmosa is the connectivity. One of the things I like about Restream is that we have all these different looks we can have, and it really highlights where people should be putting their eyes, as long as I don't go crazy with like changing the look all the time. But putting those couple things together, you get an experience, and I think that's the principal skill in being an entrepreneur or creator is to be able to first imitate something. There's this progression of imitate, emulate, create. You have to imitate something, and you have to start understanding it. You pull apart the constituent parts, and then rebuild them. You start rebuilding them as you emulate. That's kind of bringing a new place to it. It's bringing your own personal spin to this thing that you learned and that you digested and that you analyzed. And then eventually you take, you're building the scaffolding during that second phase, and then you take the scaffolding away when you create something. And that's, it's rooted in education. I'm an educator, as many people know, and I obsess over EdPsych. But it's such an important skill to be able to analyze what is around us, and then take that agency that we have, reform it, and then create something new with it. That's a conversation, like we were talking about before, Mojo. Like every conversation we have is a piece of art, because it hasn't existed before, and it never will again in quite the same way, because it'll have a different audience.
Right. Yeah. To your point, Dan, that's exactly why I don't think I ever drew the conclusion of the Tony Robbins story, where he says, I can give you all the steps I've taken to get to where I am, and you can't do that. It's not only because you're not me, to Tony's words, you're not me, but everything's changing all the time, right? The world, there's billions of variables. There's billions of variables in the body. They're called cells and neurons. They're oscillating, they're pumping fluids. I mean, there's motion in everything. It's the law of perpetual motion. There's motion happening all the time. So Tony Robbins' success, just as an example, was specific not just to Tony Robbins, but to the time and place and circumstances, all that unfolded as they did, right, in a very specific pattern that has become what we know to be Tony Robbins. And thankfully, Tony Robbins is fully aware of that. So he's not saying, become me. He's saying, become fully you, by taking the principles that I've learned, that I'm happy to share with you. And he shares most of them for free, even though he could charge $50,000 a minute if he wanted, and has in the past. But now he's getting to the end of his life where he wants to just download all this wisdom that he's got, and he's given most of it away for free now. But this is true not just for the Tony Robbins of the world, but for the Dans and the Anis and the Marys and the Mojos. We've all learned something to this point. And so we have the opportunity again to turn around and to give the clues freely, because we received them freely, right? Now, some of the clues I had to pay for, and maybe not with money, maybe I paid for them with sweat or bruises or pain or suffering, but that doesn't mean I should just hoard them, right? There's a show about hoarders. That's not a good thing. It's right. We want to unload the things we get. And there's such a great benefit to this, because now not only do I get to share the wisdom I've gained with somebody else, but I'm actually making room for more wisdom. Because at some point, if I just keep it all to myself, I get full. I can't take anymore. So offloading the wisdom, the lessons, the tips and tricks like Ani does, saying, hey, I know how to game the system so that you can succeed a lot faster than if you just spend all the time doing it yourself. Wow, that's invaluable to me, right? As a budding creator that wants to be able to make a living with my creations. So thank you, Ani, for doing that. But I don't want to just, whatever I learned from Ani, I want to say, who's behind me? Who else let's grab hands. Let's join together. Let's all succeed together.
Let's Red Rover this.
Right?
Oh my goodness. So Ani, I think that's actually a really good launch into this discussion of value. And I know we had a little pre-show discussion about, you know, this drawing prompt. We will someday be very well known for this whole drawing portion of the show. So you were talking about value and what, you know, people bringing value. Can you expand on that a little bit? And that's going to become a drawing prompt.
Okay, so I believe in learning together and growing together, right? So if I can bring any kind of value to someone, I am more than willing to do that, whether it be about the algorithm, whether it be about your social media, whether it be about things that I'm interested in, right? I'm a nerd. I love AI. I love thinking. I love talking about tech. I love you know, like understanding new technology that comes out, or at least testing it out and stuff like that. So yeah, anything I could do to like teach someone something that I know, I'm happy to do that. So that's how I bring value. And then one more thing also,
Yeah, go ahead.
wanted to say was like, I think it's not about gaming the algorithm. I think it's more about like learning the rules and being able to leverage that to your advantage. If you're driving on the road, right? It helps you to know what the speed limit is, so you can abide by the rules and still be able to drive, right? So it's kind of like, that's how I look at the algorithm, the rules, the guidelines, and everything that they give you. It's all laws that you like. If you know them, you can navigate through them properly, not in a sense that you're trying to take advantage of it or do something shady with it. You're more like, if you know what you have to deal with, or you know what the restrictions are, you can do things that you need to do by keeping in line with what is expected of you. Does that make more sense?
You know, I think.
Yeah. So,
oh, go ahead, Mojo. Yeah, go on.
I just want to clarify gaming. So I'm glad you brought this up, Ani, because it didn't dawn on me until you started to say that gaming might have sounded like I was trying to work around the rules in order to get my advantage. And that's actually not what I intended. This is the interesting thing about words too, because the words that I say, we all recognize, but we all have our own meaning for what they are.
Right.
So in my context of my conversation, I'm really glad you brought this up. When I was thinking gaming, I was thinking about gamify, because a lot of things in life, they're hard. They're hard. They suck. They're difficult. And if we don't want to do them, we won't. We'll find a way to get ourselves out of them. But so my thought, my feeling, and what I've been taught is, if I can gamify, especially the things that are difficult, well, it gets a different energy in it. Like, so it's actually what you said. What I meant is that gamify means when I learn the rules and I learn how it works and I learn what success means in this one, now I can take advantage of that knowledge and that wisdom, and I can gamify it. So like a strategy game where I'm looking what squares are available, what pieces do I have to use, and how do those pieces move in chess, to use all of that knowledge and wisdom to win the game, right? So that's what I was meant by gamify. But I'm glad you clarified that, because some people might have been thinking, oh, Mojo's saying like how to work around the rules. I'm saying no, how to use the rules to make a game out of it.
Yeah, no problem. I love gamifying stuff. Like, honestly, I love streaks, having streaks of stuff.
Streaks,
so like,
yes.
I maintain them every day. Like for fitness, I have the fitness app that tells me the streak. And you know what? It's such a motivator too, because when you see like you're about to break a streak, you're less likely to like break that, right? So like when I see, okay, well, I've been going for 7 days straight, why am I gonna like have like a little dot that shows not active or like off or whatever? And the longer you go, the more it motivates you. And I think streaks, having to-do lists, things like that are just like absolute game changers for life.
Yeah, I think with streaks, I've got a short streak story, and it was when I first got my Apple.
My eyes?
Oh yeah, no, not that kind of streaking.
Okay.
When I first got my Apple Watch, I was obsessed with the rings, and I would actually sometimes do things that was that other definition mode. I would kind of game the system, like if I wasn't gonna make a goal, then I'll admit this publicly. I actually lowered the bar because I knew it was, my body was saying it's time to go to bed, but I'm like, I have to stand for one more hour, you know? But then this thing that just brought attention to a change that I needed internally was when I was on a trip. I think it was when we were filming in South Africa, and I totally missed like my exercise streak because I was on a plane for and traveling for like 36 hours. And then it was like my 390-day streak was broken. And that broke me, like in a very surprising way. I had no idea I would have such a vehement and visceral response to that. But I actually ended up talking to 3 different layers of Apple technicians and saying like, how can I get it back? And they're like, you can't get it back. It's written into the program that you can't get it back because people game the system. And I'm like, well, I just want to game the system once. So it's really interesting. There's that balance too of the difference between gamification and gaming, you know, that was very real to me in that moment.
Yeah,
it's to me that it's that borderline between cheating or not, right? So I don't necessarily want to learn how to cheat the system. In fact, I don't want to learn how to cheat the system because in the end, that's actually going to be a disadvantage. It's not going to get me where I want to go. But I do want to learn how to game the system so that I can put the energy of gaming into it, because games are so much more fun, right? And if you have that sense of this is going to be a challenge, but a fun challenge, not a grind, right? Because grind, nobody wants their souls ground to dust. So I love the fact that with what Ani's doing, you can learn how to turn the system, which seems like it's this overwhelming, overarching, terrible thing, turn it into a game. So you figure out, how does it work and how do I play inside of the rules to make me flourish?
Yeah, and that's why, just to kind of round this out, I loved Ani's response, because it is that pointing towards low stakes practice and pointing towards, you know, this is not a high stakes situation. It was not a high stakes, hair on fire, people are going to die situation because I lost a streak on my Apple Watch. It was information. You know, when we don't meet a streak, or when we don't, when we fail, you know, Samantha Postman has always taught me that to fail is an acronym for first attempt in learning. Fail. And you know, failure is also information. It's saying, oh, I might need to change this. If we don't allow ourselves that moment for the information to come in, that something we're doing didn't work, that's where we get into gaslighting territory. That's where we get into convincing you know, we can gaslight ourselves. We can rationalize and justify to ourselves that what I did was right, but the system's broken, or what I did was right, but they're just too, you know, they're cheating, whatever. So I think it's we keep coming back to this, Mojo. It's when we have to, instead of do, you do things and then you look at how you're being. You start with be, do, be. I'm gonna pull open Pixio, but can you kind of round that out? And then Ani, I want to hear what you have to say about what Mojo's gonna share.
Yeah. So this is kind of like a chorus to our show. We keep coming back to this, and I love it because I think it's really essential. And I want to get Ani's experience and a story that might make sense to you, Ani, about this. So Frank Sinatra has this famous line in one of his songs, "Doobie doobie doo," and everybody kind of knows that's like his. And it dawned on me one day, well, life can work that way, where we do our thing so that we can become something, but that's really not very sustainable. And I know a lot of stories, and you probably do too, of people who did the thing and then they didn't become anything that they were proud of, and they weren't happy about then their life. So I was thinking, what if you reverse Frank Sinatra's song? It's going to sound a little awkward at first, but I think it's a better path for us. Be do be be do be. And what do I mean by that? It's in our character, our integrity, our growth, our knowledge. It's becoming who we are first, then the doing. When the doing comes out of that, well, now we've got a chance for really much better outcomes when the doing comes out of the being, rather than we're trying to create the being from the doing. Does that make any sense to you, Ani?
Yeah, I think everything has, you know, everything can be reversed and everything can be you could go both ways on everything, right? So I definitely think that doing and being, and then being and doing is can work in like what do I call it? Synergy, right?
Yes.
I think that's the word. Like, yeah, obviously, yeah, I believe in that.
So it's like
I like
so
that point a lot. Oh, go ahead, Mojo. Yeah.
Well, this goes to the infinity loop that comes up in our conversations as well, right?
That's what I was
If you
gonna
got,
say.
if you got the infinity loop, and on one side is the being, and the other side is the doing. Ani just made the good point. It doesn't have to be linear. It's actually a loop thing where it's integrated. It's synergistic. I love that. Good.
It's a starting point. You can pick either as a starting point, but always expect the other will be there. Or always expect the other will do there. I don't know.
Yeah, I think everything goes in cycles.
Yes. Yeah, that's the pendulum of life. We're already like almost at that time to start wrapping up. So I want to make sure we get to our drawing prompt. So this, just to highlight again, if you want to join us in Chatmosa, you don't have to right now, but just go to chatmosa.com. You can check out the goodies that we're putting in there that highlight Ani, and that the rest of the guests this week will all be in the same, I call it a gallery walk. That's a teachery thing that you can see all these creators that have come together in this one way at this one time. They happen to be in the same Chatmosa together. And then that will be put in the archives, and then I'll link it to next week. So I like to think of this as kind of a daisy chain of creativity, or like a choo-choo train of creativity. But we're going to head over to Pixio now. And that is where this was Fridays, or no, Thursdays, right? With Scott Money Miller. And I loved his prompt. It was, what was it? A DJ dog playing?
He said golden retriever DJ, right? With headset.
With the headset, yeah, that got that in there. So, so Ani, can you just give us a little bit of some more words? They don't have to be in order, but just some thoughts about value and how we can bring people value, and this whole concept that we were talking about before.
Yeah, sure. I think we can share our experiences. I think that's the best thing we could do. Like, people learn from each other. People can learn from examples. People can learn from people's successes or their losses too. Like, not just wins, like learn from people's losses, right? So I think sharing your experience, sharing your journey is the best thing that you could do. I think journeys are more important than lessons, because like there might be something that happened to you, but you never really learned anything from it. So there's nothing necessarily for you to share or be able to share, or like think that you're some kind of a guru or anything like that in that, right? But if you share your journey and say, hey, this is what happened and this was the outcome, people can use their own perspective and their own knowledge to understand how they can navigate through this specific, let's say, hardship, or this specific point of, like your journey or your point of success and stuff like that. So I think it's very important to share your journey. I would definitely say that.
Love that.
All right.
Love that.
I'm going to see what that came out. Go ahead, Mojo.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to see what
I
comes
wait.
up. Yeah. But we'll keep adjusting it.
Dan's taking your words, put them into Pixio, see what comes up, and then once we see a visual, then we'll start to adjust the words till we get different outcomes from the visual.
Yeah, that's what came up so far.
This is legitimately like so good because it's like you are all going together towards success. I love that.
But what I love is that there's no end. It's just like you can't get to the end because it keeps
keeps going.
Because it's an infinite climb. It's an infinite climb, right?
So is there anything you would adjust about that? I mean, because we don't have to be completely 100% happy with it, or is it like, oh my gosh, that's it?
Here's one thing I have to learn. There's no diversity there. It's 4 guys with
That's
backpacks.
what I was thinking.
Right?
Ooh,
Where's the diversity? And there's no children. We started with Red Rover, which is a children's game, and I'm like,
ooh,
I think
I'm gonna put in Red Rover just for fun.
Our childlike self is our best self, right? Not the childish part, not the immature part, but the childlike self that's just awe and wonder and questions and curiosity and play. So I was like in our pictures that oftentimes it's either like a childlike drawing, or there are actually children in the drawing. That takes me back to my happy place, right? The child is still inside of me. And it's just I want to bring it to the surface rather than keep it buried underneath all of my adulting.
I would also add a lighthouse there somewhere.
Add a lighthouse.
Ooh, a lighthouse.
I absolutely love
Brilliant.
lighthouses.
Yes.
Oh my
And
goodness.
Yeah. Tell us why. Tell us why you love lighthouses, because I know there's a reason for that. I'm
yeah,
sure.
so kind of like how I like to shed light on people, or kind of like how I like to lead people towards something, right? I think lighthouses do the same thing. I think lighthouses, guide people. Like, what do lighthouses do? They guide sailors to like where the land is and stuff, right? So I think it's a beacon of light, and I resonate with it very much. I love like trying to find lighthouses around me. Like I live on Long Island, so it's like there's oceans and rivers and everything everywhere, like body of water and lighthouses everywhere. So I've always resonated with lighthouses. I don't know, there's something serene about it. There's something like just like being a beacon of light. I absolutely love it.
So
I was just on Long Island real quick. We just had a show there last night.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. Where?
Yeah, I wish I would have known you were on Long Island. I would have had to go. One of my former students was helping with background singers. It was at 89 North starts with a P. I can never say it.
Patchogue?
Patchogue. It was in Patchogue. Yeah.
No way. And that's like 35 minutes away from me.
Oh my gosh, I should. Now you know. I mean, we're at the venue a lot. So next time I'll make sure you know, and then we'll.
Yeah, please. I would love to.
Here's the great.
Wow. Okay.
Here's the great synergy, guys. You guys were on Long Island, and I was drinking one.
There you go.
It all just goes together.
All right, now this one, I don't know. We lost all the people.
No way. Oh.
Yeah, we need to.
Okay.
That looks like one of my favorite lighthouses.
It looks gorgeous.
Can you blend these two?
Also, we want to get the simple line drawing too, so that people can color it themselves. We want people to add their
Make it a.
We got 2 minutes left, just so we're clear. But I did want to tie the fact that Ani put a lighthouse in the picture. I want to tie that right back to the conversation, which I think was one of the brilliant things that have come up in this conversation, and there's been several. Is I shared Tony Robbins says success leaves clues, and Ani says, yeah, but so does failure. And then you think about a lighthouse. Not only does a lighthouse show the sailors how to get safely to the harbor, they also highlight where the rocks are, where the reef is, where the danger is. So it's exactly what Ani said, is that as a beacon of light, well, how to get to there safely, but also show them where all the landmines and the rocks and the problems are. So it's what she said, success leaves clues, but so does failure. And you got to highlight both if you want to navigate your journey safely. So that's brilliant.
Yeah, let's see if this is this was not a zero shot today, and that's okay.
No, totally.
Now it keeps. That's really pretty. I mean, that's I like that.
It's pretty good. But we need some people.
Yeah,
we need some people or some kids.
Okay, so now
could you blend the first image and the second
actually.
to last image? Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually download that, and then Mojo, if you want to start playing us out while I do this live, sure. I'm gonna erase this whole prompt, and then I'm just gonna give it context. So go ahead, Mojo.
And here's a song. Here's a song that fits the theme of today's show, which I only picked this of what we've just had in our conversation. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain. We all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just call on me, brother, when you need a friend. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need to lean on me. When you're not strong, I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean friend, call me. When you need a friend, call me and call on me.
Yeah. Woo! All right, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. Ani, thank you for being here. And I've got to also get to a meeting. So we'll see you tomorrow on the Now Show. Thanks, everybody. Make a beautiful day.
Perfect. Thanks so much for having me. I had so
Bye.
much
Thank
fun.
you.